Hello, today I'm going to show you how to create a Google Analytics 4 account and configure it for your Shopify store. I'm going to assume you're using the SlideRule Analytics app, but this will apply to anybody creating a Google Analytics 4 account for the first time, and especially for Shopify stores. So first, we're going to need a measurement ID and a measurement protocol secret. The measurement ID is just linked to your specific Google Analytics 4 account, and the measurement protocol API secret is how SlideRule Analytics sends server-side events to your Google Analytics 4 account. So let's jump in. So first, I'm going to go to analytics.google.com. And if you're not logged in already, you're going to log in with your Google account. Make sure it's the Google account that's connected to the Google Analytics account that your Universal Analytics property is already in. So you can see here, I've got access to several different accounts. You're going to want to make sure that we create the Google Analytics 4 property in the same account that your Universal Analytics is already in. So you've probably ended up on a home screen like this. This is your Google Analytics Universal Analytics account home screen. And you're going to simply go down to the right. You're going to click on admin. Okay. And if you already have an existing Google Analytics 4 account and it's just not receiving any events or something like that, I want you to go ahead and use that existing Google Analytics 4 account, like so. For most of you, that's not going to be the case. For most of you, you're not going to have a GA4 account. So I'm going to show you how to configure it, how to create it. But if you have an existing GA4 account, go ahead and skip down to the creation of the measurement protocol secrets section. Okay, cool. So let's create a new property. So if I don't have a Google Analytics 4 account or property already, I'm going to create one. So I go create property. I'm going to name it something. I like the name Google Analytics 4 because it's really clear what this property is in that drop-down menu we just looked at. You're of course going to select your reporting time zone and currency. Currency is very important, so make sure you select your store's currency. So the same currency that your store, your Shopify store is in. That's very important. Okay, good. We don't need any of these advanced options. We're not going to create a Universal Analytics property. We don't want this to be linked to a Universal Analytics property in any way. Okay, next. Select your business size. This doesn't matter. You can say, measure my online sales. Good. Okay, and we've created our Google Analytics 4 property. Now we need to create a data stream. Data streams are a concept that's new to Google Analytics. It only exists in Google Analytics 4. It doesn't exist in Universal Analytics. There's no analogy. But for us, for Shopify stores, we're only ever going to create a web stream. So data streams really only apply if you have both websites and native mobile apps like an Android app or an iOS app or both. In our case, we're only going to create a web stream, right? And we're only going to create one web stream for all of our sites. So if we're using different landing page builders, if we have a Webflow landing page that's attached to our Shopify store, if we have a different different app that creates landing pages or something like that, all of those are going to use the same data stream. So don't be confused by this website URL here. We can enter our website URL, demo store.com. This does not matter. And I'm going to name this websites, just to be clear. So you should have one Google Analytics property for each store generally. And you should only ever have one data stream for those stores. You shouldn't end up with multiple data streams. And you can see that here. If I try to add another web stream, Google Analytics gives me this warning. In most cases, a single stream will meet your needs. Good. So don't create separate data streams for different subdomains or landing page builders. Good. All right, let's go back. All right, now we're going to copy this measurement ID. And so we've created our data stream and we need to add it to SlideRule Analytics. So here's my measurement ID. Boom. Good. We've captured that. Great. Next, I'm going to create the measurement protocol secret. This is how SlideRule Analytics can send server-side events to your Google Analytics 4 account. So first, you just got to review the terms real quick. Click Acknowledge, and then I go Create. I'm going to name it SlideRule Analytics. Create. And I've got my measurement protocol secret. Good. Come over here and I click Save, and I'm done. I've just created the account. Once that loads in here, Google or SlideRule Analytics will start sending Shopify data, all the Shopify data you should need, over to your Google Analytics 4 account. All right. However, we do want to do some additional configuration in our Google Analytics 4 account to make sure that we get nice, clean, and complete data. So let's do that. We're going to go to Configure Tag Settings, and we're going to define internal traffic. So I come down here, I go Show All, and I'm going to define internal traffic. This is similar to creating IP filters for internal traffic in Universal Analytics. If you've done that already, you can go check out your Universal Analytics account and see which IP filters you have. But we're just going to create one here. So this is, I'm working from my house, so this is Kevin's house, and I can simply go, what's my IP? And you'll see there, Google will tell me this is your IP address, right? We're not going to deal with CEDAR notation. It's very complicated. The usual things that you're going to do are begins with, contains, or equals. In this case, it's equals. So I'm going to create. Good. Just like so. Good. All right. Now, there are other options here. You can keep adding additional IP addresses to the same rule, right? In which case you might want to rename this internal IPs like so. So if we had other people, if we had a different IP address, say at work or something, we could just add that here. We don't have to create a new rule for each one. Okay, good. Okay, so now I've defined internal traffic, but there's a sneaky separate step to Google Analytics 4 that you have to do if you want to actually filter out that internal traffic from GA4. You have to come in and you have to go to Data Settings and click on Data Filters. And you see there's this internal traffic filter that's set to exclude by default, so that's good. So the internal traffic we just defined with our internal traffic IP filter already has a data filter to filter it out from Google Analytics 4, but it's set to testing. We want to make it active, so click Active. So what this does, the reason this is a two-step process is when we defined internal traffic with our IP filters, that just said, hey, anybody from this IP address is internal traffic. Then I have to create a data filter to say, take that, anything that's flagged as internal traffic, I want you to actually go ahead and filter it out from the data. We're going to create one more filter while we're here, and that is the developer traffic filter. So we're going to name it developer traffic, and we're going to exclude it, and we're going to set it to active. We don't need to test this, right? We know we want to filter out developer traffic, like so. Developer traffic is automatically flagged by SlideRule Analytics if you're using our app. Anything that's done when Shopify is in preview mode, if you're making changes to your theme and Shopify is in preview mode, if you make test purchases, those will all be flagged as developer traffic. Also, if you have the debug URL parameter in your URL, that will also be flagged as developer traffic. So SlideRule Analytics flags all the developer traffic for you. You don't need to worry about it, right? But it's a nice way to make sure that your developers aren't adding data to the Shopify, to your Google Analytics account. Good. Okay, great. So we've configured our IP settings and created our internal traffic and developer traffic filters. Now we need to add referral exclusions and cross-domain tracking. So let's go back to data streams. We're going to click on data streams here. We're going to go back to configure tag settings. First, we're going to configure our domains. For most Shopify stores, it's just going to be the single domain, mystore.com, whatever your URL is. But you might have multiple. So if you have a different store URL, you don't need to add subdomains. It's just the root domain. But if you have my second store.com, or you have something like mylandingpages.com, like that, the root domain is different, then you need to add those here. This takes care of cross-domain tracking. There's no other configuration. If you're used to Universal Analytics, there were some other configurations you had to do, right? And then you come up here and you hit save, right? And that's it. Okay, so we've configured cross-domain tracking. Now we need to create referral exclusions. Again, it's the same rule. We only need to add referral exclusions for the root domain. We don't need to add them for subdomains. But the most common ones, all Shopify stores should add referral exclusions for shop.app. That is the Shopify checkout, of course. Everyone should have that. If you have PayPal enabled as a checkout option, you should add that, right? You can check your referral exclusions that you have on your existing Universal Analytics account. If you have those, you should add all of those. This isn't strictly necessary, but I like to do it anyway, just in case, is I add my root domain again here. So that's mystore.com. And again, any cross domains you're going to want to add as referral traffic. But the big ones are Shopify app, PayPal app, and any other checkouts you're using. So if you're using Recharge, you're going to want to add that as well as a referral exclusion. Okay, great. So I've set up my referral exclusions. That's all set. Now I'll get nice clean source data coming in. I won't see PayPal or shop.app as a source in Google Analytics, so that's great. Next, we want to turn on Google Signals and link this property to Google Ads. So Google Signals is a way for Google Analytics to link your Google to try to get you some cross-domain or cross-device identity resolution. So if I come to your store on my phone and then I actually complete the purchase on my desktop, for instance, Google with Google Signals could possibly determine that that is the same user on the phone and the desktop. This is a feature that does not exist in Universal Analytics. It's brand new. So let's just enable it. It's very simple. You click Get Started, you click Continue, and you click Activate, and that's it. It's all set up. You don't need to worry about doing anything else. You're all set there. Good. Okay. There are some advanced ads here that you can check out if you want, but we're going to leave those as is. to start with, we're just going to link to a Google Ads account. All you do is go to Google Ads, you click link, and you're going to select your Google Ads account here. Very straightforward. Good. Since this is a demo site, I'm not actually going to link it, but that's very straightforward. Okay, so now we're done setting up the links and basic settings of our property, but we still need to do a little bit of configuration work to get the most out of our SlideRule Analytics GA4 integration with our Shopify store. So we're going to go over to Configure here on this menu. And first, I'm going to create a conversion event. So by default, the purchase event is already created as a conversion in Google Analytics 4. You don't need to worry about that. Most Shopify stores, however, like to add a conversion event for something higher in the funnel. Usually, it's the add to cart event like this. So you can do add to cart, you can do begin checkout. You can look at all of the events. You can copy this Notion template over here that describes everything that we track in Shopify. You can look at all of the events and pick which events you want to use as conversions, right? So check that out. All the possible ones. Usually add to cart is a great one. Purchase, of course, is enabled by default. Great. Good. Next, we need to define some custom dimensions. Great. All of these custom dimensions, so all of the parameters that we send, most of them are sent by and tracked by default in Google Analytics 4. Some of them are specific to Shopify stores, and so we want to add those as custom dimensions in Google Analytics 4. Again, you can come to the Notion template that we have here. You can check it out, and you can see all of the parameters. So if you're here, click this link, go here, go to parameters, and you can actually just go ahead and filter for all of the, you just filter for the GA4 type is custom, and these are all the custom dimensions we're going to need to add, right? All of them are described here, and I'm going to show you how to enter them. So let's start with the client ID. Let's do that one. So the custom client ID, this is the client ID in Google Analytics 4. It's useful for more granular reporting. It's tracked by Google Analytics by default, but it's not viewable in Google Analytics reporting. So we're going to want to add it. So we add the dimension name custom client ID. That's going to be exactly what it says here. It has to be this. It has to have the underbars and everything. That's how SlideRule sends this over to Google Analytics 4. The scope in this case is going to be user. This is going to be a user property, right? And we can just copy the description directly from here. This is the client ID. I'm sorry, the user property goes here, down here, and then you can name it whatever you want here. In this case, we might name it client ID like so. Good, and we do that. All right, let's do one more. Let's add an event-based one. Good, so let's add this one, Shopify source. This is the source of the order in Shopify. So many of them are going to be online stores, right? Some of them could be your POS, point of sale, things like that. Different sources from Shopify have different names. Of course, could be Instagram, could be your Google Shop account. So let's add that. So custom dimension. This is an event parameter. In this case, you can see the scope is event. We're going to add Shopify source. I'm going to name it Shopify source like so. I'll just copy the description directly from here and hit save. Good, Shopify source. Okay. You're going to want to add all of these custom ones here. In particular, SlideRule identified is also very important. That's whether or not SlideRule Analytics could identify the user could connect the client-side events with the server-side events. You don't need to worry about it very much, but it's an important parameter to add. So just make sure that you add all of those parameters. Good. Okay, cool. And once we add all of those, we're done. We've completely configured Google Analytics for our Shopify store with the data that SlideRule Analytics is going to send over. If you have any questions about how to use this, feel free to reach out. Let us know what you think. And thanks for using Shopify or SlideRule Analytics.